The murder of a 4-year-old girl on Kauai more than 20 years ago sent shockwaves through the community. Now it's receiving renewed attention. Gina Mangieri is always investigating. Gina?
Joe, I spoke with the family of the young victim, and they're calling for justice to be fully served. This after they learned the man behind bars for the crime may not have acted alone. The destruction of Hurricane Iniki in 1992 put many families on hard times, and some ended up in tents here on Kauai's Anini Beach, including little Alacia Woolsey Ruff, who went by the name Lacey. Where was Lacey and her mother living at the time?
Right around this area, at all campus, all tents.
Mix of locals and visitors?
Yes.
Lacey's father, Timothy Woolsey, recalling a tragic summer day, July 27, 1993.
Police department called me out. When I came down, the police was just assembling a search party.
Lacey had wandered off. Dusk grows darker, so does the panic. Authorities and volunteers are empty-handed by nightfall. Up with the sun, the search party resumes, land, sea, and air. Volunteers find evidence that she's in the water.
So we worked together. We went pretty much in 40 feet water, and I found her on the bottom. Lost my air, came up. I told him she's down there. He looked up. I was right there. He grabbed her again, passed her to me, and he went up, get easy, and I just came up slowly, threw everything away, walked in with her.
A burden that weighs on him to this day.
I could describe for your only daughter. Till today, I still live with him. Every time I see one little blonde-haired girl walking around.
As he cradled her lifeless body back to shore, the details of her violent end were just being uttered from the lips of a confessing murderer, Aaron Shonlau, barely 20 years old, a transient from Colorado. He'd been caught aboard a bus bound for the airport that morning after a tipster called police. In transcripts from the interview at the Hanalei police station, Shonlau tells police of his history of mental health issues, that he'd been off lithium and on drugs and alcohol, partying with campers, even Lacey's mom that evening, that he'd taken a walk down the road. She followed me over there, he said. In my mind, it seems like it's telling me, yeah, do it, do it. She was screaming, and I had my hand on her face, and that's when she stopped breathing, twisted her head. I took her out to the water. Throughout the confession, he asks for an attorney, but the transcript shows the Q&A keeps going. That confession was not used to prosecute Shonlau's case, but he confesses again during pretrial detainment, this time to a young cop, Mel Raposo, now Kauai County Council chairman.
And as he was going through the graphic details of what he was doing or what he had done, yeah, then you see the monster in this young kid.
Shonlau pled no contest, sentenced for life with the possibility of parole.
I just would like to say that I'm sorry for all that has happened.
His older brother had called police with that bus tip and took the stand in court proceedings.
It's the hardest thing I ever had to do. This is my brother, and I know what he did's terrible, but I want him to know I love him.
News of the crime spread, and a mainland detective wondered if there was a possible connection to a cold case child murder he was assigned in Colorado, where Shonlau was from. That detective interviewed a camper who had been on Kauai when Shonlau was. We are not naming this person, as he has not been charged in connection with the case.
I was pretty sure that this suspect had something to do with the actual commission of the crime, whether he was the only participant or not.
Fast forward 19 years to January 2012. Oregon police respond to a domestic violence call involving that camper as the victim of a punch in the face by a woman he was living with. According to the police report, she said he told her that he was there when the murder happened. She became upset because she did not believe the little girl had to die.
He describes taking her into deep water. You know, the fish will get to her and things of that nature.
Now that you've heard this alleged confession exists, does it change how you see the events of that night and day?
Yes.
In what way?
Hard to explain that. You're tracking one animal, being that this animal in jail, but this animal more smart.
But what about the man doing time for the crime? Sean Lau's confessions to police did not mention many of the injuries the coroner found on the body. The autopsy says the cause of death was drowning, despite Sean Lau's belief that she was dead when he placed her in shallow water. Shallow because he can't swim.
So the big question is, who got her from here to here, and what was the time element for that?
We worked with Roger Strecker, an interrogation expert and former HPD investigator who's also worked with the U.S. Secret Service and FBI. We pieced together all available police, court, autopsy, affidavit, and witness statements, recreated the timeline, and mapped the scene.
Were there any red flags in how he said what he said that might weigh into the veracity of his recollection?
I found it very fragmented and inconsistent, and would certainly cause concern on my part if this person was under the influence of narcotics, alcohol.
For him to know and recount to you the extent and the details that he did, there be any question in your mind whether or not he was really at the scene doing them?
No, there was no question in my mind. You know, I mean, by 93, I had interviewed and interrogated quite a few people, and as far as I was concerned, and until today, I have no doubt in my mind that he was sincere, serious, and honest.
Strecker also reviews the transcript of the other camper the Colorado detective interviewed.
Look at the intricate detail in recollection, and this was conducted in 8693, and he had that much depth of knowledge. It certainly starts to fill in the puzzle.
With these questions raised, will authorities take a second look at the case? We're asking the questions, and we'll continue our Always Investigating series tomorrow. Gina Mangieri, KHON 2 News.